Morning, Lizzo Nation. Today it is Benjamin once again, as we've promised. This is Lizzo from Lizzo Engineers, and then our topic today will be 12 tips in helping small businesses to prepare in this COVID-19 pandemic. So we will be discussing that. But what we want to do is we like to help businesses, especially small businesses, realize the potential that they will have in terms of making sure that their processes, their people, and systems that they use in their businesses are optimal so that they can give them the return on investment. So that is where we will be establishing this thing. So who am I? My name is Ndozelize Benjamin Mknebe, and I help business executives realize the potential that they will have if their people, their systems and processes are in line with the company mission in terms of getting their return on investment. So I've been doing this since 2009, and our business has been breaking even every year. So it means our company started towards the end of the 2008-2009 recession. So we are well prepared in terms of any downfall of the economy or things being the pandemic as well. We are in line with that. But before we continue into going into our discussion today, I would like us to take a minute of silence in recognizing what the pandemic has done in the whole world. And then we will want to say to the people that have got the lost ones, we are with them. So let us take a minute of silence to make sure that we are with them. Let us begin. Thank you very much for doing this with us today, as we realize that the pandemic is really hitting us, it's hitting other nations, it's hitting us as the Republic of South Africa as well, in the USA now. And then hence we are bringing this in line with that to say, how do we prepare then as small businesses? Because we know if you are not well prepared as a small business, the first thing that will go, it's your organization might file for liquidity or bankruptcy as well in this. So we'll be looking at that at some aspect in line with that. So we know at the moment we are having significant threat into our business or our livelihood. So every time when you do a risk assessment, when you prepare for your business, you do a risk assessment, you check to the extremist to say, okay, what if there can be an event like this one that we are sitting on? So what can we do? How do we now make sure that we get, in helping with the government, we get whatever we've been working for and it is due to us? So what we do, how do we prepare for us to do that? So those are the things that we'll be tackling in line with this. So if you're watching, I would like you to click the like button or the love button below to say you are with us. And then we would like to make a call to action as well to say, if you have any topic that you will want us to do in future, please type it in the comment line so that we can be ready and discuss it in future. So as we said, this is Tea with Lizzo. So we'll be doing the discussions every morning from now until the quarantine or the lockdown is over. So I would like you to put your comments down any suggestion of any topic that you want us to discuss as well. So you'll put it below on the comment line. And then we hope this will help you. And it will not only help you, it will also help small businesses that are up and coming, because we'll be going through the life cycle of how a business is started. In fact, the life cycle of everything that you'll want us to discuss, being it your business, being it your child, so that we can look at the life cycle, being it your animals, so we can also do that as well, where we look at the life cycle of animals. For example, what I specialize in is I specialize in the life cycle of an equipment, that is your engineering equipment. So those are the things that I do, and I'm expert in it. So what we will be focusing on, as I said today, is we'll be look at the 12 tips. So we'll be going to content now to say, okay, what is it that we need to do in terms of looking at that one? So I've had a listen to some of the podcast. There's a podcast that is called Show Me the Money podcast, where they interviewed another guy there. His name is David C. Barnett, and he's an expert in terms of selling of businesses. So he was discussing an issue to say, okay, as we are faced with the pandemic now, currently, there are other businesses that are going to suffer. And then those businesses will be in the hospitality, that will be your hotels, and then that will be your airlines as well, are going to be affected by the pandemic, the way it is happening. So you need to check at businesses that are now, we call these businesses, are essential. So that is what you need to start driving our thinking towards, the essential businesses like your hospitals, your medical cases, your ventilators. As we see that in the world at the moment, people are discussing ways of how do we come up with the masks, how do we come up with your flu, your vaccination test kits. So those are the things that you look at. And then if you look at it from the hospitalization side, from the discipline that I come in as a mechanical engineer, you can understand that you do not want to mix air conditioning of your critically ill patient with that one of the normal patients. So you need to distinguish what type of system you are going to use to distinguish between the two, because you don't want to contaminate the airborne system, because you'll be infecting other people. Because remember, we said, as they described the pandemic in terms of the COVID-19, we don't know, it's either you're getting it from breathing or from touching, and then there's a distinction between the range in terms of the distance. That is why the social distancing is encouraged now. So we need to do that, because you can catch it through coughing. Someone coughing, you can get the disease from that. But let's go into our main focus, which is the 12 tips. So the first tip that we'll be discussing is you need to make sure that your financial statements are intact. You need to, that is why when I always advise people in terms of running a business is, if you don't know your financials on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, you are not in touch with your business. So you need to be in touch with your business. You need to know what is happening in and out every day. And then once you say you are optimizing that, then you can take it to a week. But if you are doing only financial on a quarterly basis, like a big corporation as an SME, then you are running into trouble, because you need to know every day how much am I making, every day how much am I losing, weekly how much am I expecting. So you need to do your budgeting proper. So your financial statements, you need to be in touch with them. So that is the first thing that you need to do. And then you need to the other things that you need to do. Tip number 2 is you need to list possible impacts that the coronavirus can bring on you. For example, now other businesses are standing still. In our case, As we do workshops, we're speaking around Asia, we're speaking around Africa, islands. So that has been impacted because there's a lockdown. The borders have been locked, the airlines are locked. So what do we do? So we'll look at that one as well because we need to have a preparation for that. So when you do your risk assessment, you do it in line with that as well to say, what is the worst case scenario that can happen in our business and how do you mitigate that? Mitigating, it means you need to get money coming in every month. So when that business is locked out now, so what do you do to sustain your business, to sustain your employees as well in line with that? So we'll look at that one as well. So those are the things that you need to look. Tip number 2 is you need to look at the least possible impacts of your business during the pandemic. And then tip number 3 is you need to look at your business health. Business health in terms of the debts that we have, outstanding debts. So those are the things that you need to look, and then you need to make sure that you are, like I said, you are in touch with your business on a daily basis. You know who's owing you, when is this due, and then you consistently do the follow up. You need to have an invoice following strategy. So that is one thing that will encourage. So tip number 4, because of the pandemic is upon us, you need to do your rebudgets, considering the impact of the COVID-19. So you need to do redo of the budgets. So those are the things that you need to do as well in this case. And then tip number 5, what are the measures that you can do to make sure that you improve your cash flow? It's not business as usual, it's business unusual. So what are those things that you need to do right now so that you can have cash injection into your business? So those are the strategies that you need to look at in line with that. So we'll elaborate on this one when we go further, because there's a lot of things that you can do now in order for you to have a cash injection. So we'll need to look at that one. So if you look at another issue there, which is your tip number 6. Tip number 6 is, how now do you increase your online sales? You need to have an online sales that you are conducting. So that will form part of that one. And then your tip number 7 is, how do I put my contingency plan? If plan A, plan B doesn't work, at the beginning of every year for every business, we've got a goal. We've seen that with COVID-19 now, our goal has been impacted. So what do we do? What is our contingency plan to make sure that we have cash injection into our business? So that is tip number 7 that you need to look at. And the other thing, tip number 8, which I've seen a lot of businesses are trying to do, we've seen the likes of Standard Bank saying they're giving their customers or their clientele a 3-month holiday paying period. You need to speak to your key account holders, your key suppliers. You need to speak to those guys and explain to them that my business model, and at the moment this is what is happening, and then are you going to lend a hand in terms of helping me and my business to go over this? So those are the things that you look at as well. And then the other thing is tip number 9. This is important. When you start a business, you've got big ambitions, you've got a staff complement that you need to have. And then what happens, there's a crash of the economy that happened in 2009. A lot of people in 2009 got retrenched because of the financial crisis. 2008, 2009, a lot of guys got retrenched from their organization. And then this is not different. We see people now, governments all over are encouraging people to stay at home, be safe, and then social distancing and all of those. So business is not longer going to operate as normal. Like I said, it's business unusual now. So now you need to do tip number 9. You need to identify your employees. When I was listening to the podcast of David C. Barnett, he was telling me that he worked as a consultant for American Swiss. American Swiss have already started this in the 2000, where they only have they had a staff complement of 4,000 people, but they reduced it to 1,200. And then out of that, the 50% of those guys that were working there, they were working from home. Only the managers were allowed to come in the offices, and they will only come on Tuesday and Thursday. And then their job card, if they come on Monday, their opening card or their access card will decline. So those are the measures that I need to be adhered to. So you need to identify your key employees in line with critical skills for your organization. So those are the things that you need to adhere to as well. And then after this, tip number 10 is you must measure. Remember, whatever you cannot measure, you cannot say it is productive. So you need to do the measures to say, is this working? So you'll have to do a trial and error test method there to check whether whatever you've put in place is working. So those are the things that you need to look at as well. And then tip number 11 is you need to do a real check on your business. Is my business in line with the redone budget? Is it achieving that? Are we getting there where we want to go? So those are the things that you look at as well. And then can you afford to continue operating like that? Because that is the bottom line. If you can't, then you need to revamp the strategy again and then reuse it and all of that as well. And then tip number 12, if you are in a financial difficulty, seek professional help. It is always important to seek professional help, professional advice early. It is never too late. Please remember these tips. So from tip number 1 to tip number 12, that is what a small business owner must do currently. And then thank you very much for listening. And I said, if you are happy with this video, if you want anything to do or to be discussed in this Tea with Lizwe, you can make sure that you are commenting and then put your suggestion in terms of the topics that you want us to discuss in future. We cannot wait to meet you tomorrow as well, as we'll elaborate on other aspects of this COVID-19 preparedness for small businesses. So we'll see you tomorrow morning again around this time. Thank you very much.